legit. Anything you want.
Now, before I get started, I want you to take a look at this, if you will. This humble, unassuming silver coin played a huge role in the country's development. Over 100 years ago, these Morgan silver dollars were used to pay for and buy everything. Banknotes were for the very rich. Most folks used these as their $20 bills. Everybody from the president down to the shoeshine boy had these in their pockets. And if you never held one, you won't know how heavy they are. That's because they really are 90% solid silver. This is guaranteed by the U.S. Mint. So these coins are even eligible for your IRA or 401k rollover based on their purity. And take a look at the design here. They're just absolutely beautiful. The credit goes to George Morgan, the engraver who created this gem. And I don't know if you can see it properly in close-up, but if you want to try something new in 2019, you're curious, want to see more, and thinking of starting to collect these, you can visit the website historicalsilvercoins.com, where you'll find loads more information, prices, and great video about the history behind these coins. So go to historicsilvercoins.com and save $5 per coin by using the code X22. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we need to understand that the name of the game is to get everything prepared and ready to bring it all down around the central bank and the deep state. You don't want to throw out all your cards at the beginning of the game. Think about poker for an example. If you have a royal flush, you're not going to throw it down and say, royal flush, I win. No, what you wait to do is you wait until the pot gets really big. You pretend you have nothing. You pretend or bluff you don't have a good hand. And you let all the others think that you have nothing while they think they have everything. And they throw everything into the pot, everything that they have. And you play that hand at the very end, once the pot is full and they have nothing left. That is what is happening right now with the plan. This is what Trump and the Patriots are doing right now. Not just with those people that they're going to arrest, but those people that are working in the central bank. Those individuals that want a central bank. Those individuals that are pushing the next system. And Trump and the Patriots, they have the royal flush, but they're pretending they have nothing. They do give out hints along the way, letting you know that they have an incredible hand, but for the most part, they're bluffing and telling everyone they have absolutely nothing. Now, on the other hand, if you look at the deep state and the central banks, they're bluffing to the American people like they have it all. So you see what's happening here? We have a side, which is the deep state and the central bank, which they believe they have the most powerful hand, when really they have the weakest hand. And we have Trump and the Patriots that have a very powerful hand, and they're pretending they have a very weak hand. That's what we see happening right now. And Trump and the Patriots want the deep state, the central banks, to use everything they have and throw it into the pot. And this is what is happening right now. Trump has given us hints along the way, and he's told us what the plan is, and we'll be getting into that in just a minute. But let's head out to the UK. Now, the UK has now received a 48-hour ultimatum from who? The EU. And they have to come up, I'm talking about the UK, with an acceptable change to the Irish backstop. But the problem is, and Brussels knows this, the EU knows this, there is no acceptable change to the Irish backstop. So what's the play here? What is the EU trying to do? Well, they're trying to get the British people to fold. They want them to say, okay, you know what? They gave us an ultimatum. We can't do it. Let's just go with May's deal, period. But guess what? It's not going to work. Every day that this goes on, the people are more aware of what is going on. And the worse the EU gets. I mean, look at all the data that's coming out. The EU is not doing well. And the fear-mongering is not working. People see right through it. They can see what the EU is trying to do. And the people, well, they're awake. They were awake when they voted for the Brexit. And once the people say, you know something, we're not going with anything that you want, we're going to do it our way, the EU is going to be in trouble. Now, do you think the EU is going to try to do something before that? If they realize that this is what the UK is going to do, absolutely. You can expect something pretty darn big. And I'm wondering if those packages that were sent around to the London Transit Hub and all that was the first step. But we'll have to wait and see. We see here out in the U.S., we have the unemployment numbers that have come in, and it looks like the U.S. has added a lot less jobs than was expected in February. And this is kind of normal at the beginning of the year. Jobs decline. And we have to remember all these numbers are completely manipulated. And the number of people that are not in the labor force right now has increased from 95.01 million to 95.21 million. And remember, the labor force petition rate right now is very, very low. We're going all the way back to the 70s. That's where we're at right now. And the labor force participation rate has never gone back up to where it was, where we saw the height back in the 2000s, and then it dropped a little bit going into 2008, and now we're all the way back to the 70s location. And really, when you think about this, you can see, when you're looking at the graph, starting at the 70s, guess what? This is when the baby boom was moving into jobs, when they were buying homes. This is when the fiat system that the central banks were, where they took us off the gold standard, this is when it all came into play. And you can see the participation rate, well, it climbed during this period. And then it started to decline after the year 2000. And now we're at the lowest point and we're back to the beginning. So think about what happened. 45 to 50 years later, we know that the fiat system has reached a point where it's going to implode on itself. We also have the same exact people back in the 70s. They're much, much older, and they're getting out of the workforce. Now, we have two things happening all at the same time. We have the fiat system, which is imploding on itself, and we have people retiring. And since the fiat system is imploding on itself, the people that are coming into the labor market, they can't find jobs. So, and for those people who can't find jobs, who haven't been on an interview in the last 4 weeks, you're counted as not looking for a job anymore. So we have all these things happening at the same time. We also see that household net worth, it has tumbled by 3.7 trillion. This is the first drop in 4 years. Now, this is to be expected because remember, the Federal Reserve System was created to only allow the wealth to be captured by the top 10%. And if you actually look, you can see that the top 10% of the U.S. population has most of the wealth. About 100 trillion belongs to the top 10%. The rest is the middle and the bottom. And this is how the Federal Reserve System works. This is how the central banking system works. And this does not help the economy. Yes, it helps the elite. It helps the very wealthy. But the rest of the people, they struggle through all of this. Now, the mainstream media, financial pundits, they're out there and they're talking about the stock market, how the stock market is declining. Oh my God, this is terrible. The whole thing's falling apart. And Trump was out there saying, listen, once the China trade deal is made, you're going to see the stock market skyrocket. And Trump, you have to remember, he has the magic wand. He has complete and utter control over the market. And if he wants the market to go up, all he has to do is push the button and the market goes up. It's completely manipulated. But we need to remember something very important. Trump, with everything that's going on with the market and all this and how he's looking at the market, continually telling people, look how great the market is, look at our unemployment. Remember, these are all statistical numbers that the deep state central banks have used in the past. He's using this against them because what are they going to do? They're going to start turning on the numbers they've been using for a very long time. Yes, they might switch off and say, look, housing's not doing well. Oh, look, this, but everyone has been brainwashed to accept these numbers. So he's using them against them. Now, we need to remember that Q has been telling us that gold is going to be bringing down the Fed's going to be restructured. And we need to go back to 2017 because Trump did give us different messages during that time period. And he told us what to expect. Now, this is out of Forbes, which they were reporting on CPAC in 2017. President Trump replaced the dollar with gold as the global currency to make America great again. And when he was talking in CPAC, he said the following statement. Global cooperation dealing with other countries, get along with other countries is good. It's very important. But there is no such thing as a global anthem, a global currency, or a global flag. This is the United States of America that I am representing. He also said, we used to have a very solid country because it was based on a gold standard. But he said it would be tough to bring it back because we don't have the gold. Other places have the gold. Now again, do we have the gold? Well, Q has told us that gold will bring down the Fed, but Q has not told us that we actually have all the gold as of yet. Trump continued, bringing back the gold standard would be very hard to do, but boy, would it be wonderful. We'd have a standard on which to base our money. So Trump right there believes in the gold standard, and he doesn't believe in globalism. And this fits into the message that Q gave us. Now, Q never told us that we have all the gold and we're going to use it against the Fed. All Q told us was the gold is going to bring down the Fed. And we discussed all different ways that gold can bring down the Federal Reserve. Because remember, gold is accepted everywhere. And everyone understands gold. We know that gold has been manipulated. And once the manipulation ends and gold is allowed to do what it does best, rise against a failing paper currency, gold will outshine the Fed. Now add on top of this, which we discussed before, Trump is looking to get the 5G, 6G system here in the United States, which supports the blockchain. Combine these two things together, guess what? You can have a gold-backed electronic currency. And there is no need for the Fed. So Trump has already given us hints. Trump has already told us what to expect. Q has already told us what to expect. And actually, you can see how both messages work together. So we're headed in the right direction. But again, I go back to the beginning of this economic report. Trump and the Patriots, they hold all the cards. They're not going to use it just yet. They need everything in place. They need everything in the pot. Everything. And then they play their hand. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.